God breathes, God surrenders, God holds, God embraces, God remains. We breathe, we surrender, we hold,
How glorious is your dwelling place, O loving creator of the universe. My soul longs, yes, aches, for the abode of the beloved. All that is within me sings for joy to the living heart of love. Even as a sparrow finds a home and a swallow a nesting place, where its young are raised within our majestic creation, you invite us to dwell within your heart. Blessed are those who put their strength in you, who choose to share the joy and sorrows of the world. They do not give away to fear or doubt. They are quickened by divine light and power. They dwell within the peace of the Most High. They go from strength to strength and live with integrity. O loving creator of the universe, blessed are all who put their trust in you. Once again to our Summer of Psalms online worship of United Churches of Langley. Wherever you are, whomever you are welcome here. If you are filled with faith or racked with doubt or confused, you are welcome. If you are joyous or in the depths of despair or peace filled, you are welcome. Bring all of you. You are welcome. You are home. Home in the heart of God. This home, this spiritual home, is housed on the unceded and ancestral lands of the Kwantlen, Katzie, Matsqui, and Semiahmoo people. We are guests on this land. And although we have walked upon the land for many years, we continue to acknowledge this is their place. And we walk with them and toward them in acts of friendship and reconciliation for the harm that has been caused by our ancestors and the healing that we and our children will support in our quest for right relationship with the land and its people. We call ourselves into worship with Psalm 85. O beloved, how gracious you are to your people. You restore our souls time and time again. You forgive our iniquity when we wander far from you. You give us new life. Yes, you bless us and raise up new hope. You awaken our hearts to love. Restore us again, O Spirit of truth. Burn us with the refining fire of love. We cannot live separated from you. Cast out the demons of fear and doubt and illusion. Revive us again, we pray, that your people may rejoice in you. Have compassion on your people, O Holy One, and grant us peace. Love is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Love is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When fears assail me, rising up to accuse me, each one in turn shall be seen in love's light. Though a multitude of demons rise up within me, my heart shall have no fear. Though doubts and guilt do battle, yet shall I remain confident. One thing I have asked of love, that I shall ever seek, that I might dwell in the heart of love all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of my beloved and to know love's plan. Love is the strength of my life. Love is my light and my salvation.
In you there is a refuge, in you we find our peace. When all we know is chaos, may our trust in you increase. In you there is a silence, in you our minds are clear. When all we hear is discord, may your quiet draw us near. In you there is a vision, in you we learn to dream. When all we see is desert, may you be our living stream. In you there is a future, in you we find a way. When hope has shed its brightness, may you show a new day. Show us a new day.
An interpretive reading of Psalm 27 by Nan Merrill. Hear, O my beloved, when I cry aloud, be gracious and answer me. You have said, seek my face. My heart responds, your face, my beloved, do I seek. Hide not your face from me. Do not turn from me, you who have been my refuge. Enfold me in your strong arms, O Blessed One. Though my family and friends may not understand me, you, my beloved, know me and love me. I shall hide in love's heart in the day of trouble as a tent in the desert, away from the noise of my fears. And I shall rise above my struggles, my pain, shouting blessings of gratitude in love's heart and singing melodies of praise to my beloved. Teach me to be love as you are love. Lead me through each fear. Hold my hand as I walk through the valleys of doubt each day, that I may know peace. And Psalm 137, plunge into the ocean of love where heart meets heart of hearts, where sorrows are comforted and wounds are mended. There, melodies of sadness mingle with dolphin songs of joy. Past fears dissolve in deep harmonic tones. The future pure mystery, for eternal moments lived in total surrender, glide smoothly over troubled waters. Hide not from love, O friends, sink not into the sea of despair, the mire of hatred. Awaken, awaken, O my heart, that I drown not in fear. Too long I have sailed where the winds have blown. Drop anchor. O heart of all hearts, set a clear course that I might follow. Guide me to the promised shore. Guide me into your heart, heart of my heart. Today's service opened up with both the sung version of Psalm 84 and the poetic translation from Nan Merrill. The psalm could have been written before or after the exile in Babylon, 6th century BCE. It is attributed to the sons of Korah, or Korahites, written for the music leader, and is believed to be compiled by David into the book of Psalms. Like the Asaphites from one of last week's Psalms, the Korahites are an important branch of the singers in the Bible. The psalm begins with a praise of the place where God lives and where the singer longs to be. By some, it is supposed to be that David penned the psalm when he was forced by Absalom's rebellion to leave his city, which he lamented his absence from. Not so much that it was the royal city, but because it was the holy city. The psalm contains words of gracious soul longing after God and communion with God. Does this sound familiar to our longing to be in the house of God, in God's dwelling place? Like whomever was the writer of Psalm 84, we are pilgrims of life, wandering here and there, experiencing the joys and sorrows of human living. In particular, in the last 16 months, our lives have felt like Baca, which is said to be either a barren place in the wilderness or a place of weeping tears. At other times, we feel we are in the springs of life itself, with the water overflowing with its life-giving grace. We could conclude in this psalm that the dwelling place that the writer longs for is a temple or building to which many wander in refuge. Throughout the First Testament, the people are asked to return to the temple to worship. It was said to be the home of God. I'm sure many of us who have been precluded from being in the church building have felt like outcasts, exiled into our homes, away from the church, its people, and its nourishment. I know that there have been many phases of my life that I have felt like a gypsy, wandering here or there in desert times of my life, searching, seeking for the temple of God, this divine dwelling place, out there, and yet ended up tired, parched, and disappointed, even weeping, not finding this holy place. That lament, that sense of aloneness can run deep and last long. The road can be long and desolate. For many of us, this describes the past 16 months of the pandemic. In those times for me, I finally reawoke and remembered the courts of the divine, the heart of the divine. The beauty of the beloved is right within me. That the most holy place is a space which I must cultivate within. Then and only then have my day in the high court of my consciousness that replenishes me for 1,000 other days within the realm of human living. Truly, a day in your courts is better than 1,000 elsewhere, we hear. or to dwell within the peace of the Most High. This is our sacred longing. This divine dwelling place is the heart of God. Whenever we experience that ecstasy of divine communion, or even the still, small voice that visits as we are in quiet contemplation, we have found home. The booming voice of God in our clear insights and intuitions, or the quiet sounds of Spirit's alluring whisper calling us home. But how many of us take time to give notice to the deep longing to commune with God, to find a home in the heart of God? I wonder why so many of us, and maybe it's just me, but I wonder how many of us are more at home in the busyness of human living. A year after I moved here to Langley, my house flooded, as many of you may remember. While awaiting repair of our suite, and while looking around for other housing options, we stayed in 9 different places over 6 months. I was disoriented and frazzled and all off-center. My rhythm for spiritual practice was off as well. I did not feel at home anywhere. I felt like I was in a barren wilderness of Baca. Only when I created the time to find sanctuary in the communion with God was I able to ground myself and know that I was home in the heart of God. And only then could I approach my life and my housing from a centered place, grounded in that felt sense of home. I have heard from many of you that this pandemic time has been a lot like that. You felt hope and then despair. You were isolated into your homes and then reached out or went shopping or a walk with a friend and still were not able to calm the restless anxiety of these times. I remember a number of years ago, I attended a summer conference held at Asilomar in California. It's a gathering place similar to what I have come to know for myself and have heard from many others that Neerava can feel like, can be like, nourishing and connecting with God and with others. While Neerava is on a beautiful lake, Asilomar is on the ocean. Asilomar means asylum by the sea, refuge by the sea. A dear friend of mine and minister, Reverend Dr. Kathy Hearn, spoke of a metaphor for life in today's world. We can sometimes feel like we are on a merry-go-round, you know, the little old-fashioned kind, like the ones in the children's playgrounds, the ones that the railings to hold on to around the outside, and a center pole in the middle. Do you remember those? For some children, the calm in the center was much preferred, watching the swirl of life around before their eyes, but not being thrown off by the force of the speed of the movement. For others, and I might say myself at times, we would prefer to hold on to the outside, enjoying the thrill of the centrifugal force that would whip them around, throwing me off balance, and at times throwing them off the merry-go-round. Sometimes, in those moments, we might even convince some adults to join us, to help us fly, to join in our unmanageability. The thought of holding tight to the center was beyond us. The adrenaline rush far outweighed the calm joy of being grounded and centered. What a wonderful metaphor for the choices we make each and every day. I can't even imagine doing that right now with the vertigo that I have come to live with in the past 10 years. How often do we find our center point in God, allowing that chaos of life to simply move around and not throw us off? Or do we choose the thrill of riding on the edge and the storms and drama of life? Often, we don't feel we have a choice. Life is happening to us, and we are just along for the ride. People get sick and die. Kids get out of hand. People are unkind or deceitful. Pandemics spread throughout the world. Children's bodies are found buried in unmarked graves. Black lives don't really matter to many, and queer people are excluded from much of society. As we experience these things either personally or witnessing them in others or on the news, in times like these, where do we find our center, our home? Do we have the capacity to truly find rest in God, the center point of our being, or go unaffected by the chaos of life as it spins all around us? I wonder. I also wonder, why is it that when we most need to rest in God, to find our home in God, that we activate the busyness of human experience at full throttle? What is the mechanism within us to avoid that which we need the most? A walk in the forest, a trip to the gym or a yoga class seems too overwhelming. A few moments of quiet or even meditation get crammed into a full schedule. A quick call to a prayer partner, spiritual director, sponsor, mentor just slips from our minds as we go on to the next task at hand. We find ourselves in the barren land of human doing, parched and hungry, longing for deep rest and replenishment. Our time and place that we're in right now is much like this. We have a culture of exile. Some of the exile is outside of us, inflicted due to the pandemic restrictions, but it is also self-inflicted. We have exiled ourselves from the sacred, taken the holy out of our lives. Even those of us who participate in Livestream or small groups of the church, or even work within the church, have lost the ancient practices of communing with God, and may even have lost the awareness of the longing for union with God. We wonder why we feel so parched, under-resourced, overwhelmed in how we live our lives. I wonder, if God is everywhere present, if we have a cosmology that God is everywhere present, aren't we always in this divine dwelling place? Do we not always abide in the heart of God? We may choose to think that we are separate, believing ourselves to be alone. This is hell on earth, a hell that we have created in our own minds. Whenever we choose to believe that we are separate from God, we experience a deep and profound loss, a loss of joy, of hope, a loss of the sense of self. There are times when we can go days, weeks, months, or even years in this state of separation with a longing, conscious or unconscious, still lurking in the depths of our being. This longing is a seed within that knows the truth, the seed of wisdom whispering her message, waking us up, calling us home. Sometimes the unmanageability of our lives is the whisper of wisdom. A health challenge, relationship stress, work challenges, all of it can be forms of God trying to get our attention. Come home, abide in me. Joel Goldsmith is a wonderful minister who wrote a number of beautiful books that I use in my own meditations. In one of his passages from his book, Practicing the Presence, he reflects that we can temporarily believe we are separate from God, but that does not mean that God is not present, that we are not abiding in God always. His words remind us that God is saying to us, I will never leave you nor forsake you. It is my very nature to be the heart and soul of your being. You may temporarily separate yourself from me. That is, you may think you are separated from yourself from me. And you certainly can separate yourself from the benefit of my presence. But that does not mean I have left you. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. I will be manna to you in the desert experience. I will be that which opens the Red Sea for you if no other way opens. I am that which I am forever and forever. I have been that unto eternity and will be that, for I am in the midst of you. Wherever you go, I will go. We can find comfort that wherever we go, there God is, always, forever. Nothing can separate us from God, nothing except our thoughts or beliefs that we are separate and that we are alone. And those moments will come. And they will pass when we make a choice to become still and center ourselves and reactivate that awareness that we are immersed in and infused with a divine energy that illuminates all creation. God is our center point, the ground of our being in which we make our home, if we so choose. I love Nan Merrill's interpretation of Psalm 137. Plunge into the ocean of love where heart meets the heart of hearts, where sorrows are confronted and wounds mended. There, melodies of sadness mingle with dolphin songs of joy. Past fears dissolve in deep harmonic tones. The future, pure mystery. For eternal moments lived in total surrender, glide smoothly over troubled waters. O heart of all hearts, set a course before me that I might follow. Guide me to the promised shore. Guide me into you, heart of my heart. If we are always in the heart of God, the ground of all being, then it is a practice of awareness that must be cultivated in order to know this and to be blessed by this very truth. What are ways we can rest in the heart of God? For some of us, we find the sanctuary we seek in a gathering of friends, in spiritual community. For others, including some of us at different times, we find it in the beautiful forest and mountains of British Columbia or the sprawling beaches along the waterways and inlets. And at times, we might find a quiet place to immerse ourselves in spiritual readings, meditation, and prayer. A practice that contemplatives have used for centuries in meditation and centering prayer. Some of you have reintegrated this into your lives as the pandemic has lingered. For some, through deep relaxation, one can notice and honor the beauty that is our physical beings. From this relaxed state, we begin to become aware of our communion with the divine and dwell or abide in this state of grace. We begin to feel a sense of unboundedness, of vastness, of spacelessness. We are able to experience a deeper sense of surrender, to find sanctuary, deep Sabbath, or rest in God. We consent to the presence. We open up to the full experience of abiding in the ever-present God of our being. We stop, look around, and feel inside and know, deeply know, that we are home. The grace of God is the container in which we live. There is no there to which we must journey to be in the heart of God. It is here, now, always. Like the little swallow, we can make our nest our home in the altars of the divine in our consciousness. As we nestle in, we find comfort and ease like we've never experienced before. We are home in our lives, in our bodies. We are home in the heart of God. How lovely is this dwelling place, home in the heart of God. This is what we can find inspiration to do. We open up to resting in the heart of God, to living in the heart of God. We come to recognize that God is nearer than the air we breathe. It's the sunlight on our faces. The love of God surrounds us with that touch, the touch of amazing grace. Take time right now. Breathe in and allow yourself to be filled with the Spirit. It is health to your body, peace to your mind, joy to your soul. Now breathe out with a simple prayer of thank you. Let this be our moment by moment prayer. May we always remember that we abide in the heart of God. We dwell in the courts of the Most High. And as we remind ourselves of this truth, as we plunge into the ocean of love, may we tune into the ever-present grace of God and find the place within that is home, home in the heart of God, closer than the sunlight, nearer than the air.
It's like the air around me. It's like the sunlight on my face. I feel the love of God surround me. I am touched by amazing grace. And all I ever wanted, all I ever needed was already there. Closer than the sunlight, nearer than the air. simple prayer. Thank you. And my breath becomes a song that we're singing all along. It was singing everywhere. It's nearer than the air. It's like the air around me. It's like the sunlight on my face. I feel the love within me. I am touched by amazing grace. And all I ever wanted, all I ever needed was already there. Closer than the sunlight, nearer than the air.
Our prayers of the people come from Psalm 40. I waited patiently for the beloved who came to me and heard my cry. Love raised me up from the pits of despair out of confusion and fear, and set my feet upon a rock, making my steps more secure. There is a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to the beloved. Many will see and rejoice and put their trust in love. Blessed are those who make love their home. You have increased, O beloved, your wondrous deeds and your thoughts towards us. None can compare to you. Were we to proclaim and tell of your saving grace, it could not be measured. Sacrifice and offering are not your desire for us, for you have opened our heart's ear. Burnt offerings are not required. Let us cry out, yes, I come. I delight to abandon myself into your hands. Oh, my beloved, for you are the heart of my heart. I tell of love's saving grace within my heart. I speak of love's faithfulness and healing power. I do not conceal your steadfast love and truth from all whom I meet. Do not, O beloved, withhold your mercy from me. Let your steadfast love and faithfulness ever preserve me. For fears so often overwhelm me. My desires and anger cause me to be blind. I look away when I see injustice. My heart becomes cold. In your mercy, in your grace, O beloved, deliver me. O love, make haste to help me. Let my fears be put to rest, fears that separate me from you. Let all that keeps me from love, from peace, and from gratitude be transformed within me. And may all who seek love rejoice and be glad. May all who live truth and justice continually call upon love. As for me, though often broken and weak, I know that love dwells within. as loving companion, presence. O beloved, my hope and my joy, love-saving grace within my heart. Amen.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise. And when we first begun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Today's service, home in the heart of God in the summer of Psalms, we find ourselves exploring how we can comfort and support each other. Throughout the pandemic and now more than ever, our care ministries are tending to the needs of our congregation. Congregants of all ages and backgrounds come together to provide care and counsel as it is needed. Without these important ministries, we would not have made it through these challenging times. So we have so many beautiful people who have continued to step out and provide care. We have a whole pastoral care team that has continued to connect with each other and to connect with all of our congregants, to check in, to find out how they're doing, to see what you're needing at any given time. Our prayer shawl ministry continued to knit, sometimes apart, and are now considering what it might be to gather again together, to pray together and to knit shawls. Our communication vine that was started early on in the pandemic has been part of that pastoral care reach out to finding out how you're doing. How are you connecting? We've been so blessed to graduate another round of Stephen ministers who have continued over the time of COVID to gather together on Zoom, to support each other as they support our congregation and those in our community. Our yoga in the chapel had to take a little bit of a break, but now is meeting regularly throughout the summer to be able to bring people together in restorative practices and ways of grounding, breathing, and feeling the spirit alive. Right now, we're starting to be in conversation with our hospitality and our hosting friends who we have to figure out what are ways that we can gather together, pull people together, and provide that radical hospitality that we know and love in United Churches of Langley. Small groups continue to connect and care for each other and are now starting to reach out and include others and invite others. And I was in the building just recently, and our Tai Chi friends have started to gather again, to come together, to do those spiritual practices, to move their bodies, and to bring themselves connected to themselves and to each other. All these are the ministries of United Churches of Langley. They provide connection and nurturing ministries that bring us to that place of knowing the God within ourselves that connects with the God in all others. This has been a time of care of self and care of others. But that's what love does. Love desires, inspires, cares, always and in all ways. And that's what our care ministries of United Churches of Langley are all about. We are so grateful for your continued support of United Churches of Langley. If the summer of Psalms or any other worship or program offerings have spiritually fed you, or if you are inspired by our many care and outreach ministries, we invite you to give as you are able. You can make a one-time or set up an ongoing giving through our online platform, GivePoint. The link will appear in the chat and also is down in our YouTube notes. You can set up pre-authorized giving, known as PAR, by emailing finance@ucol.ca, or send a check by mail or drop it off at our Murrayville location. The address is in our YouTube notes or on our website. However you choose to engage and give to the ministries of United Churches of Langley, we give you thanks. And don't forget to like this worship video as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. Spread the word, spread the love.
In the quiet curve of evening, in the sinking of the days, in the silky void of darkness, you are there. In the lapses of my breathing, in the space between my ways, in the crater carved by sadness, you are there. You are there, you are there, you are there. In the rest between the phrases, in the cracks between the stars, in the gaps between the meaning, you are there. In the melting down of endings, in the cooling of the sun, in the solstice of the winter, you are there. mystery of my hungers, in the silence of my rooms, in the clouds of my unknowing, you are there. In the empty cave of grieving, in the desert of my dreams, in the tunnel of my sorrow, you are there. You are there. You are there. You are there.
As I said last week, each week we're going to try to offer a practice for the week that you might do at home to live out and experience this service in your daily life. Today, we reflected on what it feels like to rest in the heart of God. As we open our hearts, God's heart is ever available to offer us its loving embrace. This week, try to find time each day to simply rest in God. Begin with a grounding practice. Maybe place your feet on the ground, maybe outside in the dirt if possible. And then to begin to breathe in, feeling the earth beneath your feet. Feel it. Breathe it in. And exhale, deepening your connection with the earth and with God. With each exhale, release the stress from your body, and as you are turning it over to God. With each inhale, breathe in, knowing it is God breathing you. It is God who is the very beat of your heart. Inhale, God's love, God's nourishing earth. Exhale, releasing into the love. Grounded, centered. Breathing in God's love. Exhaling out, releasing and letting go. And rest. Rest in the heart of God. And so continue to breathe, feeling your connection to God as we end our time together in prayer. Divine light shines in those whose lives reflect love. As the river makes its way to the ocean, may we surrender to the flow of new life. Then will we trust that all is working together toward the wholeness of humanity. Then will we help to rebuild the soul of the world with love. May it be so. Amen.
Spirit, Spirit of gentleness, blow through the wilderness, calling and free. Spirit, Spirit of restlessness, stir me from placidness, wind, wind on the sea. You moved on the waters, you called to the deep, then you coaxed up the mountains from the valleys of sleep, and over the eons you called to each thing, wake from your slumbers and rise on your wings. Spirit, spirit of gentleness, blow through the wilderness, calling and free. Spirit, spirit of restlessness, stir me from placidness, wind, wind on the sea. You sang in a stable, you cried from a hill, then you whispered in silence while the whole world was still. And down in the city you called once again, when you blew through your people on the rush of the wind. Spirit, spirit of gentleness, blow through the wilderness, calling and free. Spirit, spirit of restlessness, stir me from placidness, wind, wind on the sea. You called from tomorrow, you break ancient schemes, from bondage of sorrow the captives dream dreams. Our women see visions